Makwe Masilela of Makwe Fund Managers joins me now to discuss these movements further. Overall markets today, Makwe, very impressive movements that we saw, almost broad-based gains. I think one of the catalysts we saw are the global stocks rising on the back of strong U.S. earnings. We've seen numbers coming out of Bank of America, Procter & Gamble, just to name a few. But locally, what were you seeing as the biggest contributors to the major moves that we saw today?
Afternoon to you, reviewer, and to the viewers. Yes, the markets managed to claw back yesterday's losses, or at least the local boss. As remember, yesterday it closed down 0.8%, and as we just said, we are just up 1.6%, and we are doing this ignoring the rising yields. Remember, we've been going down at the back of rising U.S. yields because we've been knowing that the minute that happens is a confirmation that interest rates will be going up, and as we've also seen that the yields as well when it comes to the German bonds, for the first time since 2017, they've been managing to trade into positive territory. Basically, it says that before we were paying the German government to lend them money, so at least now they'll pay you back. But it's been a question of people trying to get back what they lost last time, but our resources managed to help us going forward. Remember, with resources, we expect the Chinese economy not to increase interest rates, to do the opposite of what developed countries are doing. We've even seen the inflation numbers coming out of China that doing the opposite to what other inflation numbers are doing. We just saw the UK inflation number at a 30-year high, let alone our local inflation number at 5.9%. So we've been driven mainly by resources, and also with tax bouncing back from yesterday's losses. That is helping our industrials.
Absolutely. You speak of interest rates, and the local unit against the USD price has risen slightly recently, and that's because investors are reflecting on that ongoing risk of a more hawkish Federal Reserve. Talk us through the local unit and the moves that we've been seeing as of recent.
On a day when you see the US dollar being steady, you'll have expected the rand to also weaken. But yeah, here we are, we're strong. And I think it's at the back of number one, we got good retail sales numbers, which managed to beat market expectations. Remember, our economy is more than 60% driven by consumer demand. And it's also on a day when you see commodity prices going up. And remember, the rand itself is a commodity currency, so it managed to benefit from that. And also with interest rate expected to be increased back home here, that interest rate differential between us and the US will continue to be maintained.
Right, let's bring it into some company news now, Makwe. Diversified miner BHP adjusting its full-year outlook for the coal and copper productions. And this is because of the tough conditions. Looking through that update that it put out on Sense today, it mentioned Omicron really putting a damper on operations and staggering the consistent output of the resources that it produces.
It definitely did, they had more of a muted production, because look at copper, it has been down, the likes of nickel has been down, the production thereof. But when it comes to iron ore, just marginally up or just 1%, and also energy coal up as well. But the likes of iron ore continue to make almost 60% of the group's revenue and almost 70% of their EBITDA. And also what's very interesting is that when you look at the prices that have been realized, fortunately for them, all the commodities have managed to fetch better prices. Look at coal itself, fetching up almost 166% increase. That's very good for them. And also the guys, they mentioned that come today, they'll be voting on the structure to measure the two entities, what is the UK BHP and the Australian one, into one corporate structure, and that they'll be voting for tomorrow at the shareholders meeting. And with us back home here, we'll be giving 1-for-1 for what we're holding as a BHP Billiton share and the BHP Billiton Group Limited share. That will be a new one.
No, absolutely. Makwe, as always, many thanks for your time. Makwe Masilela of Makwe Fund Managers there, giving us a wrap of the markets day that was. That's